Greetings YouTube, Sega Zombie here and welcome to another Sega Wall Lockdown Isolation Special, guys. Episode 13, unlucky for some, but not for us because we're going straight back down the library of Sega Saturn, guys. I have been having an absolute blast. My Sega Saturn hasn't been set up and played with since early December. So to me, I'm really getting my teeth stuck into some Sega Saturn and I'm loving it, guys. I really am. Like I mentioned in yesterday's video, it's not an ideal setup I've got. I'm itching to get the B&O set up in this room. It's driving me mad, but hopefully I can figure it out, guys. You know, it's just really hard at the moment with this pandemic to source the furniture I need, but I'll get there. This is just a silly little fucking worry, isn't it? You know, with what's going on in the world. But yeah, I'm enjoying the Sega Saturn a lot. And I've chose 5 more nostalgia games. And I think we're going to be set on the Sega Saturn for a while. Because I'm just absolutely buzzing off the Sega Saturn at the minute. But before we delve into those, guys, what we got to do, we've got to shout out 3 more videos. Big and small, they're going to get a shout out on here. Videos and channels, YouTube channels that I watch, that I wait for their notifications to pop up and really enjoy their content, and I hope you do too. And first up is a guy that started around the same time as me, 3 or 4 years ago, but he's been quiet on the tubes for the last, I'd say 6 months or so, but he's started to get back into doing his videos, and that's Daz, Retro Gamer Daz. He does a lot of pick-up videos, car boot videos. Obviously, that's going to be quiet at the moment. But he's been focusing on his sets. He's just finished a couple of sets, which is really nice. And I know he's mega chuffed in finishing those. So go and check out Retro Gamer Daz, guys. The second choice is a larger YouTube channel. But I absolutely love this guy's content. I really do. He focuses all on 8-bit micros, all the 8-bit machines, computers of the 80s. If that's your thing, I'm sure you'll know this guy, but he's going to get a shout out anyway because I really enjoy his content. And that is Bazza H. Absolutely lovely guy. He replies to all your comments. He's a really genuine YouTuber. A really great watch as well. He focuses a lot on comparing videos. He'll play games on the 64, the Amstrad, the Spectrum. I know he's got a mad love for the BBC, and he's just put up a video actually of a lockdown special where he looks at the Mega Drive Mini. I've yet to watch that, but looking forward to that, Bazza. So yes, go and check out Bazza H. And then finally, another large YouTuber, a bigger YouTuber, but a guy again that's been missing off the tubes for a long while, and I've really missed this guy. He's one of the YouTubers that actually started me off on YouTube. He supported me loads in the very early days of me doing YouTube, 3 or 4 years ago now, and that is Gruss Newton. He's just won YouTuber of the Month. He's getting a shout out here because I love Russ. He's a great guy. He absolutely adores his Mega Drive. He loves Sonic 2. It was really good to catch up with Russ on Danester's stream the other day. Really nice to talk to Russ again. And it's good to see you back on the tubes, mate. Loving the Candy Cab. There's so much content there. If you've missed out on Gruss because he's been gone for a while, go and check him out, guys. Loads of great content. So there's 3 more channels for today. As always, guys, there'll be links in the description below. And come on, let's get on to some Sega Saturn. We've got 5 more. Oh, we're going to have loads, I think, guys, because there's just so many nostalgic games. So many games that have got so many memories on the Sega Saturn. It really has. And first up, we're going to take a look at Street Fighter Alpha 2. Now, I really enjoyed the Alpha series, 2 onwards I would say. Street Fighter Alpha 2 is my favourite of the series. I absolutely love this game. I know technically Street Fighter Alpha 3 or Street Fighter 03 as it's known in Japan is probably technically the better game, but this was the game that me and my mates played all the time. This was the game where we discovered Evil Ryu, Akuma, the Firecracker. This is just an awesome Street Fighter game in the series, and it really did, for me, breathe new life into the series. I love the art style, that sort of manga-esque cartoon animation. I really enjoyed that. And yeah, it did. With me and my mates, it really brought Street Fighter back to life. We adored Street Fighter on the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo, the original Street Fighter 2 and the Turbo editions. But then it kind of, for me and my mates anyway, kind of lost its way a little with all them iterations. And it wasn't until Street Fighter Alpha 2 come along. There was promise there with the first one, but for me, this is the daddy of Street Fighters. I absolutely love Street Fighter Alpha 2, and it's one of my favourites in the series. It really is. And me and my mates used to have epic battles on this. Just in versus mode. Winner stays on. And yeah, I used to be a bit of a master at this game. I used to have massive challenges with my mate Zach. He was always Akuma, and that would be epic battles. I remember them fondly. But Street Fighter Alpha 2, what a game on the Sega Saturn, it really was. And I know the Alpha games were released on the PlayStation, but they just weren't as good as the Sega Saturn. Yeah, in the end, I think the PlayStation got over its gripes with 2D, but the early 2D games on PlayStation were just blown away by the Sega Saturn, in my opinion. Next up is an unusual game for me. Yes, I loved Road Rash, but that's probably the only motorbike game, apart from Enduro Racer in the 80s. I loved that, and Super Hang-On. And there was quite a void in motorbike games with me and my mates. You know, Road Rash had come and gone sort of thing. And then we really enjoyed this one. And that's Manx TT Superbike. Absolutely loved this in the arcades. It was in my local arcade at the seaside, just a short trip down the road from me. I remember playing this loads at the weekends and absolutely adored the Saturn version of this. A short game, a short arcade racer, as a lot of them were back then, but a really quality game. Again, me and my mates played this loads. A quality little motorbike game, and really loads of fond memories of it on the Sega Saturn. Are they going to stay today? This one again is a multi-platform game. It came out on the PlayStation. I didn't have a PlayStation. And a game that really, again, breathed life into this genre, because it had kind of gone along the wayside a bit. And that's the top-down twin-stick style shooters of Smash TV and the like. And yeah, that's loaded. Absolutely quality game. A hugely popular game, and was massive on the PlayStation. I believe it got released first on the PlayStation. I'm not sure, but I can remember adoring this on the Sega Saturn, and me and my mates played this game loads. It gets rock hard, lovely gory graphics, over the top gore. Really enjoyed it. Body bag not included, but yeah, love the artwork. I think it's done by the 2000 AD guys, artists. Absolutely brilliant artwork to a brilliant game. Absolutely adored, loaded, and had a lot of fun playing this yesterday. So yeah, loaded's one of the 5. These aren't going to stay there, guys. Next up to a game that up until this point the PlayStation was winning the battle on this genre, and that was the first person shooter. Now in the 90s I was a big player of first person shooters. It wasn't until it went AAA and you got the big titles, like I started losing interest towards the end of the what's the game called? Medal of Honor. the Medal of Honor games, loved the early ones, but then I just lost interest in it, and it all went heavy on multiplayer online battles. And I get why loads of you love those games, but for me personally, I kind of fell out of love with the first person shooter sort of genre. But back then I can remember Doom being released on the PlayStation, and it was far superior to the Sega Saturn port, and questions were being asked whether the Sega Saturn could handle doing these first person shooters, and boy how wrong we all were in doubting that, because this game come along, and that is Exhumed, an absolutely stonking game on the Sega Saturn, so ahead of its time, because it sort of like throwed in an adventure style storyline to the whole settings of a first person shooter, and it also, lots of exploration, lots of kind of platforming stages as well, which made it really interesting. And this really did show what the Sega Saturn could do. Lobotomy Software really did master the Sega Saturn and its hardware. And this game, the lighting effects, the graphics, how it moved just blew us away. Exhumed is an absolutely amazing game, and I can remember me and my mates just being glued to this. We took it in turns on certain sections and missions, and we played this all the way through until the end. An absolutely glorious game. It did finally get a release on the PlayStation, but it was inferior to the mighty Sega Saturn version. Exhumed is an absolute gem. It's a classic, and it paved the way for Lobotomy to really release some fantastic first-person games on the Sega Saturn. They done Duke Nukem, which was probably the best console port of that game, and also Quake. How can we forget Quake? Absolutely fantastic. And it was Exhumed that paved the way for that. A blinding game. I highly recommend this. If you enjoy the Sega Saturn and you've not heard of it, go and grab Exhumed. As far as I know, it's not that much of a pricey title. It can be picked up for quite a reasonable price, but it's an absolutely great game. It really is, guys. I can't recommend Exhumed enough. Absolutely fantastic game. And then finally, onto the fifth game, and I'm cheating a little bit here because it's including 2 games, and that's just to show this off. Now, this is done by my really good friend and Sega brother and fellow admin on Galaxy Sega, Ben Boyd. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Ben Boyd. He's a fantastic artist. He has an absolute love for the Sega Saturn, and he's released some fantastic boxes and art for the Sega Saturn, and he done this for me many years ago as a gift, and it's absolutely fantastic. It houses Panzer Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon Zui, or Zui. I never know how to pronounce that, guys. Shall we just say Panzer Dragoon 2? It houses them in a lovely slipcase, so it sits nicely with Saga in the collection. And wow, these games really did make Sony fans sit up and take a bit of notice of the Sega Saturn, because up until that point, everyone was saying that the Saturn couldn't do good looking 3D games for the times. And these games, most of the early 3D games in the 32-bit era have not aged well across all the systems, but to me these still look really good for me. It might be rose tinted nostalgia glasses I'm wearing, but the Panzer Dragoon games, the pacing of the game is just right. The gameplay is absolutely spot on. You're flying a dragon. You can turn 360 degrees around the dragon being attacked by enemies from all directions. I absolutely loved the plot. I loved the art style is fantastic. Team Andromeda really did push the Sega Saturn in these games. I remember thinking Panzer Dragoon was stunning, and then along came its sequel that just blew it away. Absolutely glorious, stunning game. and the boss battles were epic. Everything about this game shone through. Some people criticised the games were too short. For me, they were just right. You know, you could play through it, and there's so much replayability in these games. I absolutely adore Panzer Dragoon. I'm loving playing the remake on the Nintendo Switch. It's really good, a great game. I'm not convinced it controls as well as the original does in the targeting. There seems to be a slight delay in targeting on that. Let me know in comments below, guys, your thoughts on that. If you've played it. But yeah, I thought the targeting was a little bit off. But there we go, guys. There is 5 more absolute belters on the Sega Saturn. Let me, again, in comments down below, guys, the Sega Saturn, what's your favourite games? We're going to be sticking with the Sega Saturn for a while. The Dreamcast is coming up also, guys. We've also got some more Amiga. I've got some really good ideas for the Amiga. There's so much to go through. So long, you know, as long as this lockdown continues, guys, I will continue making these videos. I'm enjoying doing them. They're keeping this brain of mine active. And yeah, it's a positive thing. I'm absolutely loving the community. Dainster is doing an absolutely tremendous job in doing his live streams. Absolutely loving them. They seem to be getting better and better, Dainster. I want to come back on. Let me know when you got a free space, mate. I really want to get back on there and do another live stream with our absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I just want to big up the retro community. There's been a few events happen over the last few days that's been quite a bit of pill to swallow, with people taking advantage of the retro community. I'm gonna leave it there. This is why I'm having this little bit of a say, because this is a minority. The retro community in the UK is absolutely stonking. You know all who you are, guys. An absolutely amazing community. I feel privileged and so proud to be part of it. And yeah, that's my waffleage over, guys. Let's go over to the console desk and play some Sega Saturn. Here we go, guys. We're at the console desk. I've chosen Street Fighter Alpha 2, Manx TT and Loaded. I really wanted to show it zoomed, but it's a very slow starting game. And probably not ideal for this style of video, because we just have a little quick playthrough, don't we, guys? And let's just hope the action replay pseudo cart doesn't let us down today. I've noticed that this cart is giving me a bit of grief. I'm not sure if it's the cartridge or my cartridge port, to be quite honest. But yeah, I'm having a few issues with that. So fingers crossed, guys, we're all right. But yeah, let's get playing 3 stunning Saturn games, guys. Well, the pseudo cart is working, guys. It's taken a few attempts, but first up, a bit of Street Fighter Alpha 2. Just a quick blast. We all know Street Fighter, but it's another game, a bit like Outrun. I have to play this game. Love this intro as well. This will bring back so many memories. It really will. A fantastic intro. Really got to sort my memory out. I don't know what's going on now. Street Fighter games had fantastic rolling demos. Loved it. Love the artwork. Awesome. Let's get straight into it. Let's not mess around. Introduced so much more to the game with your super moves. I'm just going to go for standard Ryu. Turbo on, of course. What's your memories of the Alpha series? What's your favourite Alpha? Or Street Fighter Zero, as it was known in Japan. Would love to own Street Fighter Zero. I don't have that yet on the Sega Saturn. Oh! There's Delsim gone. I've always called him Ryu. Is it Ryu or is it Roy? Oh. And we made short work of him. Absolutely glorious artwork in this game, it really is. Charlie. But yeah, I want to know your favourite Street Fighter game in the series. What's the most nostalgic one? Obviously the 16-bit ones were fantastic. We'd never seen an arcade game so close in the home up until the Street Fighter 2. And there's Charlie gone. This had the bigger sprites, it had more animation in it than what their PlayStation versions had. I can remember playing Street Fighter Alpha on my mate's PlayStation, the original, and just being gobsmacked in the small sprites, the small screen size. Yeah, they really struggled in the early days of the PlayStation to do 2D well. And there we go, guys, there's Street Fighter Alpha 2. Next up, guys, is going to be Manx TT Superbike. A game that doesn't get enough love these days. It's kind of forgotten. It was quite a big game in the arcades for Sega back in the day. Or it was in my area. It was a popular machine. And I can remember I couldn't wait to play this on the Saturn when it was released. I really enjoyed this game. Did you enjoy Manx TT Superbike?
Manx TT Superbike.
I'm probably going to be absolutely awful because I've not played this game in years. I really haven't. But just going through the library of games, I just thought
Select the port.
I want to play it. We'll go automatic. Something I really need to get is the Sega Saturn wheel. I obviously had one back in the day, but I haven't got one. That's something I need to add to the shopping list.
3, 2, 1.
You've got obviously the bike. Yeah, technically it had poor cutting in, as you can see, guys. But it's just got that awesome Sega feel to it. The Sega atmosphere while you play it. Whoa! I told you I'd be bad, guys. And this is really cheap to pick up on the Sega Saturn. You know, if you're new to the Saturn or you want a cheap game, I highly recommend this. This game is dirt cheap on the Sega Saturn. And a great little blast, it really is. Come on. I'm taking these corners all wrong. Oh, I'm really battling with third position here.
Passing the checkpoint.
Love the visuals. I loved them back in the day. I remember thinking this looked fantastic.
Passing the checkpoint.
Really am struggling to get in the top three. Oh, I'm oversteering terribly.
Passing the checkpoint.
In fourth. So there we go, guys. There is Manx TT Superbike. Let's quickly move on to the next one. Hyped game for the time, if I remember rightly, on the PlayStation, and it was a big hit for Gremlin. We'll skip the FMV because there's nothing really special there. Copyright 1996. What's the differences between the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation? I think the PlayStation had a few more sort of like graphical effects over the Sega Saturn version, if I remember rightly. Wasn't it transparencies that the Saturn struggled with? Let me know in comments, guys. Objectives: find exit to next level. The prison holding cells. So you can zoom in and out with your camera using Y and Z. Your sort of special move there is B, and C is to shoot. Just getting myself familiar with it, guys. I think we need to find the keys. It's been a while since I've played this. Ah, there we go, the yellow key card. Find another yellow door. absolute carnage. That's it, hold down the shoulder buttons and you can kind of stay in a fixed position, which is crucial in rooms that get heavy. Not the most amazing soundtrack, if I'm being honest with you. The actual left shoulder button, you actually walk faster. But yeah, what's your memories of Loaded, guys? Would love to know. Is that the way I came in? Remember this being an extremely good looking game for the time. Kinda not aged so well visually. Actually have no idea which way I'm going. Oh, I've got a green key now. So let's go out the way we come. And head to the green zone. There's blue. Blue. Here we go, it's green. The sequel was never reloaded. I never did play that on the PlayStation. It didn't get a release on the Sega Saturn. There's the blue. That health. Starting to get a feel for the controls now. Is that money I'm collecting there, guys? Really enjoying this. So let's go to the blue section, which was across the way. Not a lot in that room. Oh, and we died. But yeah, there's reloaded. There's loaded, should I say, guys. Was this a game you enjoyed back in the day? Remember at breath, it really did breathe some fresh air into this genre because there hadn't really been much. Let me know also, guys, I say it every video, what's your favourite Sega Saturn games? I'm sure there's going to be loads more on the Sega Saturn, guys. Until the next time, I'm Sega Zombie. Goodbye.